Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating, the beauty secrets of the Greek goddesses. And no, I'm not talking about modern beauty influencers. I'm talking about Aphrodite, Hera, Athena, and the divine ladies of Mount Olympus. Now, you might be thinking they're goddesses. They were just born perfect, right? Well, yes and no. According to ancient Greek mythology, even these divine beings had their own beauty rituals, sacred ingredients, and yes, even a little divine drama about who was the fairest of them all. So grab your ambrosia smoothie, because we're about to uncover the mythological beauty secrets that inspired real ancient Greek beauty practices, and some of them might actually surprise you. First, let's talk about what beauty meant in ancient Greece. The Greeks didn't just worship physical beauty. They believed beauty was a gift from the gods themselves, a reflection of divine perfection. Greek goddesses were described in epic poetry with very specific beauty markers: luminous skin that literally glowed, flowing hair often compared to gold or darkness, eyes that sparkled like stars, and bodies that moved with supernatural grace. But here's what's interesting. Even in mythology, maintaining this beauty required effort. The goddesses had access to divine substances and rituals that mortals could only dream of. The most important of these, ambrosia and nectar, the food and drink of the gods. These weren't just snacks, they were literal beauty elixirs. Ancient texts describe how consuming ambrosia kept the gods eternally youthful and beautiful. Think of it as the ultimate anti-aging supplement, but make it divine. Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty herself, was said to anoint her body with a special divine oil before any important appearance. This wasn't just moisturizer. It was described as fragrant, shimmering, and capable of making anyone who saw her fall instantly in love. Speaking of Aphrodite, let's deep dive into the ultimate beauty goddess's routine. Born from sea foam, she emerged fully formed and devastatingly beautiful. But even she had her methods. According to Homer's Iliad, Aphrodite had a specific beauty preparation ritual. Before meeting with mortals or attending divine gatherings, she would bathe in a sacred spring. But this wasn't your average bubble bath. The water was said to have restorative properties, and she'd follow it with applications of divine oils. Her most famous beauty tool, the Cestus, her magical girdle or belt. This wasn't just an accessory. It was described as being woven with all the powers of love and desire, making whoever wore it irresistibly attractive. Ancient texts say it contained love, desire, and seductive speech that can steal the wits even from the wise. Aphrodite also had the Graces, three sister goddesses named Aglaia, splendor, Euphrosyne, mirth, and Thalia, good cheer, as her personal attendants. They would help dress her, arrange her hair, and prepare her for appearances. Imagine having divine beauty assistants. And let's not forget her connection to roses and myrtle. These weren't just her sacred plants. They were believed to have beauty-enhancing properties. Ancient Greeks would actually create rose oil and myrtle-based cosmetics, inspired by Aphrodite's associations. Now let's talk about Hera, queen of the gods. While Aphrodite had the title of beauty goddess, Hera was described as ox-eyed, which in ancient Greek was a huge compliment, meaning she had large, beautiful, expressive eyes. Hera's beauty secret was partly about presentation and power. She understood that beauty wasn't just about natural features, it was about commanding presence, regal bearing, and divine authority. But Hera wasn't above a little divine help either. In one famous myth from the Iliad, Hera wanted to seduce Zeus to distract him from the Trojan War. What did she do? She actually borrowed Aphrodite's Cestus, but before that, she prepared herself extensively. First, she bathed and cleansed her body with ambrosia. Then she anointed herself with a special divine oil so fragrant that its scent could fill both heaven and earth. She carefully arranged her hair, adorned herself with magnificent robes and jewelry, and only then put on the borrowed Cestus. The result? Even Zeus, who had seen her beauty for eons, was completely overwhelmed. He said he'd never desired anyone, not even the countless lovers he'd had, as much as he desired her in that moment. Hera's lesson? Preparation, presentation, and confidence are just as important as natural beauty. Athena presents an interesting case. As the goddess of wisdom and warfare, she wasn't primarily known for her beauty like Aphrodite. But make no mistake, she was still described as stunning, and she made it into the famous Judgment of Paris alongside Aphrodite and Hera as one of the three most beautiful goddesses. Athena's beauty was different. It was described as more austere, more dignified. Her gray eyes were considered mesmerizing, and her bearing was noble and commanding. But here's what's fascinating. Athena was actually the one who taught mortal women many beauty and grooming skills. She was the goddess of weaving and crafts, which included the creation of beautiful textiles for clothing and adornment. Athena's approach to beauty was holistic. She represented the idea that true beauty comes from intelligence, skill, and virtue. She didn't need elaborate beauty rituals because her beauty came from her divine nature and her wisdom. Though according to some myths, Athena did have strong opinions about appearance. The story of Medusa actually involves Athena transforming the beautiful mortal into a monster. Beauty and its power were serious business to this goddess. So how did real ancient Greek women try to emulate their divine idols? Well, they couldn't get ambrosia, but they got pretty creative. Olive oil was the absolute foundation of Greek beauty care, and it makes sense since it was a gift from Athena herself. Women would use it as a moisturizer, hair treatment, and even mixed with fragrances to create perfumes. For that divine glow goddesses had, women used white lead and chalk to lighten their skin. Though we now know this was incredibly dangerous, they'd use red ochre or crushed mulberries as blush and lip color. Hair care was huge. Women would lighten their hair with various herbs and spend hours arranging elaborate styles, often imitating how goddesses were depicted in art. Bathing was ritualistic. Just like the goddesses' sacred baths, public baths and private bathing chambers were places of beauty preparation, where women would use oils, scrape their skin with special tools called strigils, and apply various beauty treatments. Rose oil, myrtle, and other flowers sacred to Aphrodite were made into perfumes and cosmetics. Honey, another sacred substance, was used in face masks and hair treatments. And jewelry and clothing? These were ways to honor the goddesses while enhancing one's own beauty. Wearing gold, sacred to Aphrodite, or specific colors associated with goddesses was believed to bring their favor. So what can we learn from the beauty secrets of Greek goddesses? Well, first, even divine beings understood that beauty takes effort and ritual. Whether it was Aphrodite's divine oils or Hera's elaborate preparation, beauty was an art form. Second, beauty was holistic. It wasn't just about appearance. It was about presence, confidence, grace, and even virtue. Athena proved that intelligence and skill were just as important as physical beauty. Third, the idea of self-care as a ritual, as something sacred, comes from these ancient practices. Taking time to care for yourself isn't vanity, it's honoring yourself. And finally, while we can't bathe in ambrosia or borrow Aphrodite's magic girdle, we can embrace the spirit of these goddesses, finding beauty practices that make us feel divine, powerful, and confident. Of course, today we know a lot more about what's actually good for our skin and bodies than the ancient Greeks did. No lead-based makeup for us, thank you very much. But the core idea remains: beauty is a combination of care, confidence, and embracing what makes you uniquely yourself. So whether you're Team Aphrodite with your elaborate skincare routine, Team Hera with your regal presentation, or Team Athena focusing on inner beauty and wisdom, channel your inner goddess. Until next time, stay divine.